Hello, everybody. Welcome to my new Sunday market breakdown for this upcoming week. So we start as usually with DXY at the monthly chart. So what can we see on the DXY? We can see the monthly on the DXY is still bullish because we had here this higher low and this is our higher high. Everything between this low and high can be a correction for possible more upside momentum, which we can already see is I put it here, my horizontal black line at this lowest week from that low, and you can see the liquidity has been taken a week lower, and here also again just that small tap below that previous monthly bullish candle. So this is a sign that the bulls want to kick in, and yeah, there is a high chance that we want to go to the upside from that point that we touch the monthly liquidity zone. So I went till the weekly. So what I saw on the weekly for me is still bearish because we had here this high wick that didn't got broken here. And this is one leg for me because this wicks from this high came back to all the way this lows till this lows here. These are the same lows. So this is one impulse for me. So we have here the kind of natural W, same lows. So we can expect the same highs. So we can now expect maybe some relief here and maybe some big correction here that is trading between these highs and these lows here, because we have already a lot of sellers here and we have a lot of buyers here. So this can happen too. But we have that weekly bearish W, natural W, that can play out. So we expect to tap the same highs after the same lows that we touched. And what can we already see of that weekly lows? We had here our weekly low wick, and we just came under it, and we had an impulse, a small impulse. And after that, we had a weekly bullish candle close, which is an indication for me, okay, we can go to the upside, but the price is decelerating here. So what I can also see is that if I take my weekly low here, you can see the price is not that impulsively going to the upside from that weekly bullish candle. So this can be a possibility that is acting like resistance here with a daily descending trend line. I will show you that we can tap one more this weekly liquidity zone to tap even lower, to take the retail traders out, to go back impulsively to the upside. This can happen. So there is a high chance that this also can happen. Even with a deceleration, it's not convincing me that the price wants to go to the upside after that liquidity zone that got tapped here. So yeah, so I went to the daily then. Now what can you see on the daily? We are moving bearish with the trend, corrective with the trend. So the trend is bearish because we have here our high, low, lower low, high, lower low. So we have this high and low. So everything between that can be a correction for potentially more downside momentum. We have our descending trend line holding the price down. As you can see, every time we tap it here, we went to the downside, 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 and now we can go further to the downside. So the only difference now is this move was very bearish, and after that we received some corrective nature here with the trend. So this can be a sign that the sellers are tired and the bulls are slowly kicking in till a point that we can go to the upside. So this can be a nice sign that we can have one more move to the downside to take some liquidity under this weekly reverse point, and then we can go to the upside to have a nice break of that descending channel here. So this can be a possibility. So I can see that DXY can go to the downside. So yeah, then NZDCAD, I will go over my first trade. NZDCAD on the weekly. So what can I see on the weekly? We had here a very big bullish trigger, very impulsive move. So this is our low, this is our high. We are indication of bullish because we were moving bearish, as you can see, and we now turned indication of bullish. So we can form a possible inverted shoulder, shoulder 1 here, head, shoulder 2. But we didn't touch that yet. So what we receive after an impulse, we receive a correction. So the sprinter got tired. You can see the sprinter was sprinting 5 kilometers, and now it needs to have some relief of rest of 1 kilometer. So you can see the price is already coming very correctively counter to the trend, which is an indication that the sprinter is preparing itself for more upside momentum. What I can see right now is we have this third touch of this descending trend line here, kind of third touch, so we can go to the upside, but I can see that this was a clear low, and now it's acting like resistance. So what I can see is that we can potentially again trade with that weekly correction against the weekly trend to go more to the downside, to tap that weekly fib completion. If I take my Fibonacci here from the high to the low, we have here minus 27 fib completion. So this can happen. So I expect if I go in 1 minute on a daily, I will explain why I'm looking for more downside momentum. So the weekly trading against the trend with the correction, it's possible because we have also here that supply and demand zone. If I look further back like this, we have clear resistance here, sellers kicking in, resistance, sellers, support, resistance, resistance, support here, false break, support, support, false breaks here. You can see that. And now we are acting as potential resistance here right now. So it's a very nice supply and demand zone. So I think we can go to the downside. We will see what will happen. So we go on the daily. What can I see on the daily? I see a very nice price action. So what I can see is we have here this first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg. And yeah, we have that bearish W. And what we are doing in that fourth leg, we are coming very correctively to the upside against the daily trend, which is an indication that we can go further to the downside. So we have an ascending channel against the daily driver there. So this can be an indication that we can go to the downside. So I drew my daily zone at the daily highs because we touched it on Friday. So I went to the 4 hour. And what I saw, we touched it with two candles. We have already the first candle is a blue candle. The second one here is a red candle, which is a must for us. And then the third candle is closing under it, but this is no problem. I can have one candle in between. So the next candle, I want to have a tap right now so I can take my limit when the market is opening. And then I will place my stop loss wide enough for around 6% of the daily TP because the price is very correctively moving against the trend. So it's a very nice sign that the bears will kick in and the bulls are tired. So then USDCHF. So what can we expect from the DXY? Because the DXY can potentially go to the downside because we are still moving in that descending in that weekly bearish trend and that daily descending channel. So if I go to the weekly, what can you see on the weekly? We made a weekly bullish candle close. Okay, this can be a sign that bulls are kicking in, but this is no confirmation. It's just an indication because the trend is still bearish. This is our low here. This was our low. And this was our new high. This is one leg for me, one impulse. These were the same highs. So after the same highs is a double top, an indication that we can go to the downside, which it did. So we went to the downside and we made there this bearish W kind of fourth leg coming back potentially and acting potentially here as support here, as you can see. And so this was clear support, as you can see, a lot of support, and this can come back acting as resistance. But what I saw on the daily was this is our high and this is our low. So I took the fib from the whole structure high till the low here. This is one impulse. These are the same highs. So I will delete this. These are the same lows because the this week didn't close under this one. So this is one leg, one low. So what I can see is we have this bigger bearish W with the same low. So we expect the same highs, natural W. So I expect the price coming back to the daily highs here where we can take a potential entry. And if I take my fib completion, it can be like that from the low here to the high. Sorry, you have a minus 27 fib completion around here. So we have that small bullish M, which can complete there around the daily highs. So that's nice to see. On the 4-hour, what can I see? On the 4-hour, we are moving bullish on the 4-hour because we were making here. So this high, low, then this high, lower low, a high, lower low. Then we broke it here, and then we can make here this smaller, higher highs, higher lows here. So we have this ascending trend line here, holding the price up. So this can be your correction. And if the price is coming very correctively like this to my daily zone with a diesel, then I can take it to the downside. So that's very nice to see. So this was USDCHF because I expect maybe that the DXY can go a little bit more to the upside, and then we can go to the downside to take some more liquidity, and then we will see what will happen from the DXY. Then NZDUSD on the weekly. What can you see on the weekly on NZDUSD? So on the weekly chart, we are still bearish because this high here. Oh no, we are indicational bullish because this high got broken here. As you can see, we broke it here. This is one leg, one impulse. This is indicational bullish, and then we received some kind of shoulder one, had potentially shoulder two, which didn't tap. So we are still indicational bearish. This is one impulse for me. This week came still the same lows. So one impulse indicational bullish. So we are at the weekly lows here, and now we receive the weekly bullish indicational candle. What we can see here is we received a weekly reverse point, and we took some liquidity every time we went higher. Then we tapped higher. We closed always in that weekly reverse point, but the wicks came all the way higher to take some liquidity, and then we went back to the weekly lows. So what I can see is if we can tap again this weekly, from this weekly lows, a weekly reverse point, then we can take some liquidity, like here, maybe one time, two time, a little bit lower, closing back above, and then yeah, we can look for more upside momentum. So like in this case here, we can have that also there. So I went to the daily because we have that weekly bullish candle. We are then trading maybe against the trend, but I saw on the daily we have this low here, this daily low, and we have here this new high because this was our high, this was our lower low, and we broke it here. So we are potentially making here a shoulder one, head shoulder two, which acting on this wicks here, as you can see, we are buying from there. And we are on a daily indication of bullish here, low high. Even if the weekly trend is against us, the weekly candle is sitting on the weekly bullish candle is sitting on the weekly low, as you can see here. On the weekly, this is the weekly low here, and we received the weekly bullish candle. So this can be an indication, and we had a wick under this weekly bearish candle, so it's taking liquidity from that weekly lower wick there. So yeah, if I go to the daily again, you can see that we can potentially make a smaller pattern, shoulder one, head, shoulder two. I need to first have a break of this week of that daily bearish W. Then it's for me a confirmed break. It's not a confirmed break for me, but now it's still a part of that fifth leg here. So it's still potentially going to the downside to make here this daily lows or taking that weekly liquidity. So this is a potential thing we can have. So I want to see the break of that next daily candle, and then we will see what will happen if we come back to the shoulder one region. Then EURCHF. If we go on the weekly, if my computer wants to, yeah. On the weekly, we are bullish. We have this bullish M. We have this first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg coming very correctively between these highs and lows of this descending channel. So it comes to the trend moving. So what I can see is we could trade these trades corrective with the against the trend. As you can see, you could take here a trade to the downside to the weekly lows. But now we are still bullish, and we tapped that weekly lows here, so it's taking some liquidity. As you can see, this week's didn't close. We didn't close under it, but the wicks came all the way under it 2 times, and we took some liquidity. So this is an indication that the weekly liquidity got taken, and the retail traders got out at this weekly low, and that we can go to the upside to potentially this weekly high or further beginning of correction here. So yeah, we have that weekly bullish candle close as indicational at the indication. So I went to the daily, and what I saw on the daily was we tapped this daily low here, and now we have here a shoulder 1 potentially, head, shoulder 2, and also a pattern within a pattern, this kind of bullish M within that inverse head and shoulders. We tapped already the shoulder 1 zone here with a liquidity wick that came all the way back up. So I expect that this wick can fill in again to tap this shoulder 1 zone, and then we can go back to the upside to the weekly highs potentially. So then I went to a 4-hour chart, and what I saw on the 4-hour chart, we are indicational bearish because this was our low, this was our high, we broke it here. We have that smaller bearish W that can hold the price down, this kind of descending trend line here, like this, can hold the price down for more downside momentum to tap this daily shoulder 1 zone again. So this can happen. That's what I can see. Then GBPAUD. If I go to the weekly, this trade is looking very clean. On the weekly, we are very bullish. We have this first leg, second leg, third leg, potential bullish M on the weekly that can play out till the weekly lows or even go without us and go further to the upside with even tapping this IC. So I went to the daily for a further indication on what we can see. And on the daily, we have this bullish M. We have our first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg. Within that leg here, we have an IC, institutional candle. Between all the blue candles, you have one red candle. This is an indication that the price wants to come back and act like a magnet on this IC, where the price can reverse on back to the upside. So that's what I can see on GBPAUD. And on the 4-hour, on the 4-hour, it's just making now that 4-hour bearish candle close after this impulse. So we can expect some corrective nature counter to the trend. Would be very nice to see to break then this descending channel to go to the upside to tap the daily minus 27 take profit zone. So I want to see corrective nature counter to the trend. That would be nice for more upside momentum like that. So yeah, this was GBPAUD. Then the last one, GBPNZD. It's a little bit the same. On the weekly, we are very bullish. We are making here this bigger bullish M here, and we closed above this weekly reverse point zone. We just closed above that, and yeah, we can still make that false break. That's a possibility, but we closed above that. So this is an indication for me that we can still go to the upside to potentially go till this highs here from this selling zone. This is a potential thing to have. So we closed above that weekly reverse point. So we went to the daily because the weekly is bullish for me. And on the daily, we can see the same thing. We have here our first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, potentially fifth leg to make that bullish M, to complete that bullish M, sorry. So our first zone we encounter is this resistance here, which can act like support. And as you can see, it acted already as support. So that's why I drew my daily white zone there. This is my first point structure I encounter. You can also draw your daily zone at the daily lows and here, but it's just rejected on this first structure and your breakout zone black line here like this. You can also draw. So if I go to the 4-hour, I expect one more tap of this daily zone because the price is not that going impulsively to that daily high. And also we have here that shoulder 1, head, shoulder 2 touch that we touched, so we can go more to the downside. So if we can have here some diesel or pattern, then I will take it to the upside, or we go more to the downside and I will take here some pattern to the upside like this. So that's what I can see on GBPNZD. So this was my trade for upcoming weeks. CHF GPY I'm also looking at, but this needs to have some more development because we have still here this bullish M that can play out. So I want to see the price coming back. So this can take maybe a few days. So yeah, this can happen. So I hope you liked the Sunday market breakdown, and I see you next week. Bye, guys.